Hello and welcome once again to What's the Damage, companion show to the incredibly well-known and popular Real Play D&D stream, Roll for Damage. Before we sink into a blissful sea of escapism for an hour, a note on real life. We don't have a huge reach here on our incredibly popular and well-known, but also young and small network. But for anyone who is watching, who feels frustrated, scared, powerless. Us too, buddy. Shit's fucked. Black people specifically, are being killed in the streets. And there isn't really a word that encompasses the degree and true nature of the fuckedness. It would take an essay. And that's not what this show is. Here we talk about D&D. But before we escape into another place for an hour, I just wanted to emphasize that we aren't powerless or helpless. That's a lie told to us by people who want to push us down. So, all 10 of you, the viewers, there are actions that you and we and all of us can take to fight racism, to fight injustice and bigotry and fascism. I encourage any of you who can to donate to a local bail fund. You can find a directory of them at the National Bail Fund Network. Google the National Bail Fund Network or go to bit.ly/local bail funds. If you don't have money to spare, which many of us don't, go to blacklivesmatters.crrd.co, which is a whole list of other ways you can help. Both those links, along with a few others, will be listed on our intro card today. And everyone, be safe, wear a mask, and join us now for an hour away from all of that, where we talk about D&D. Last week, the party almost fell off a mountain. This week, we're discussing that and also how to create the perfect character backstory. Thank you to Sunbird, who composed our music, and to Lady Meows, who designed our logo. Find their websites linked in our Twitch page. I'm your host, Truth Venson. This is What's the Damage? Welcome back. Joining me tonight is the wonderful Chad, the beautiful Laura, the excellent Caleel, who are going to talk to me about some of the stuff that happened in the last episode of Roll for Damage, and then we're going to discuss making the perfect, most delicious character backstory possible. So guys, what's the damage? Your party almost fell off a mountain.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, that was fun. Especially considering I was one of the ones that almost fell off the mountain too.
Yeah,
Mhm.
same.
I
Twinsies.
don't see. Here's the thing: I didn't have the safety net of I'm a warlock. I can teleport. No,
Yeah,
clerics are not
yeah.
mobile. They
Uh-huh.
are
Yeah.
not
See,
mobile at all.
I was like, oh yeah, I'll go first. I'm sure I'll be fine. And I'm like,
And then
I'm
you
like,
weren't.
And then you immediately
I
fell
fell
off the
down the first
mountain.
time. I'm like, oh, I'm glad that Laura's here to save me, because if that happens more than like twice, I'm not gonna be okay pretty soon.
Yep. In
Yeah.
retrospect, the guy that had the climber's kit probably should have been in front. But you sounded
Yeah.
so gung ho about wanting to lead. I'm like, who am I to say no? I mean,
Well, that's the thing about Baltaim. He's so damn charming.
he's like young
and
Morgan Freeman. It's a
convincing.
problem.
I'm just like, yeah, I'll go first. And everyone's like, yeah, that sounds great. And he's like, oh, I don't have any of like the gear or anything. I'm just like, yeah, okay.
No, I'm sorry. It's just it's
Overconfidence.
yeah, and it's the Baltane character voice, which is basically just buttery young Morgan Freeman, velvety tones. I'm like, you can't say
You're
no.
like,
That
I
like,
trust this voice.
yeah, that sounds confident. That sounds smart. You can do that.
Mhm.
Oh shit, no, you can't.
It's like, yeah, no, it's like, no. He's like very like all around like average like stat wise, but he's like,
But he's got the charisma for days.
yeah, he does.
He's
He
okay.
just like he doesn't like brag about being like good at anything. So you're like, oh, sure, I'll give him at least like let him try. Like you don't think he's gonna do terrible. And it's like, no, I just roll really bad. So it's kind of reductive sometimes. So
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's the thing about warlocks. Very charisma high, not always smart or wise.
This is true.
Those can be death sass. Yeah, as you guys were going up the mountain, I was like having a flashback to this game I played with Serenity a while back, where we were also like going up the side of a cliff and we tied ourselves together. And I think we spent maybe 15 minutes real time falling down and doing like athletics and dex and strength checks to try and not all plunge off the cliff together. Amazing. So how nervous is everybody like preparing to go up the mountain? Because you had all these NPCs who were essentially like, oh, rip, when they heard that you were gonna go up the mountain.
Like, oh, you're going up there?
Oh,
well, nice knowing you.
Sorry for your loss.
I mean, yeah, there was a theme of you're going up there. It's awful dangerous. Not a lot of people come back from there. Was like those are the talking points that the whole town had, man. And
it was like this prepared speech. And
Yeah.
so all Perry could say was, that sounds real ominous.
Mhm.
I mean, real ominous.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounded terrible.
I'm like, personally, I was like, this is cool. I'm so excited for it, but I'm like,
Mhm.
I don't know what's going to go on.
Yeah.
Going like what the trek is going to even be. Like I know like the pilgrimage itself is going to be like strenuous, but like they're like even like warning us about like going up the mountain is like, oh, like I don't know about that. So I'm like, ooh, okay.
Are you sure?
Yeah. So I'm like, oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, when the library won't even let you have a book to borrow
Yeah,
because of
yeah.
where you might be going, that's a red flag.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, and one of the nice things about D&D is that pretty much anything can turn into a logic puzzle, which I think you found as you were going up the mountain. So can you talk me through like a little bit of your guys's thought process as you were trying to figure out, okay, well, what's the best strategy for scaling?
I mean, Perry's first thought is always, well, I could just turn into a bear. So
Thanks,
she
yeah.
was like, no, it's going to be easy. We're just going to go like straight up a mountain. It's fine. These people are scary, but it'll be fine. But then like they were like, well, you might want climbing gear. And then all of a sudden we were like approaching this like very thin area.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was like, can we tie ropes now or is it too late?
Yeah, that was the point where we had to start actually trying to make the plan, because before that we're like, okay, yeah, this is a hike up a mountain, everything's fine, everything's fine. And then by the time we
walk
started
up
trying to make
get to the building.
Yeah, by the time we started trying to make the plan, Baltaim had already rounded a misty corner and
Yeah.
was out of sight.
Yeah. I was in that moment. I was thinking that Sinric had just died, so I was like, he'd probably be the best person for us to have him lead. But we already had literally like, oh, Sinric, you lead, and he had died, and so that was kind of weighing on Baltaim's mind, like, he doesn't need to lead all. He's just like, let him have some rest. Like, I mean,
Mhm.
I'm fine to go ahead and try to do something. And then, no, that was not the case. And so I was like,
No, you took one step and fell off the dang
yeah,
mountain.
yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
Like,
then
no,
once I was already around the corner, I was like, okay, well, we're kind of doing this, I guess.
yeah, and
This might as well happen.
yeah, because then I wanted to try getting the whole thing of make a like bunch of handholds with pythons, but I'm like, I'm basically almost the middle of the pack here. I can do it, but the first two people are still screwed.
Yeah. So can you guys tell me a bit about what the pilgrimage, capital P, means to each of your characters? Is it like only a task that's been given to you by your patrons and only a way to break this curse? Is there some personal meaning in it now that you have to do it?
For Quinn, I say he didn't give a shit about being marked by anything because he has business at the other end of the mountain, basically. Because according from what he's found out, person he's looking for, his sister, has already gone up that way, and apparently answers are also that way. Therefore, up that mountain he gonna go, regardless of how difficult it is to get up said mountain. So, I mean, that's about it for him, really.
For Baltaim, he's expecting this. He's expecting, like, he is not fazed by being marked by the god of darkness. He's very much expecting. He's not expecting like knowing what's going to come, but he's expecting something is going to come.
Mhm.
So he kind of is taking this mindset of that I need to fulfill something for someone so I can get something fulfilled for me. Whatever path that takes, so be it. I will walk that path. If that path leads me, down some treacherous places, that's just the endurance he has to take to go to get where he wants to go.
For Perry, it's a lot of everything is a new challenge for her, and part of it is she's marked and she's already in danger because going home is not possible right now, and then when she goes home she doesn't want to take that with her, but she really does see this as a test of who she is and how strong she is and can she accomplish these things.
Mhm. Interesting. So it seems like you've all found or had a little bit of a personal stake in this too, but
Yeah, basically.
not the one where you don't like being marked. You all seem pretty okay with that.
I mean, I'm not
You're
a
like-
fan.
I mean, not a fan, especially after what happened to Sinric.
Yeah,
And finding out what that meant.
yeah.
I think weirdly, Baltaim's down for being marked. He thinks this is probably getting closer to what he wants to do. So
Ooh.
No
he's
shame in
down
this
for
family.
it.
It's okay. If that's how you want to get down, that's how you want to get
Yeah.
down. It's
Yeah.
okay. We accept everyone. But yeah, hold me marked by the darkest of dark gods. Not a fan. However, whether Quinn was told to go up that mountain or not, that's where he going. So
Quinn, that was on his way, basically.
pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I have a question that's not episode related, but something that I've been wondering. Can you tell me a bit about the party name, Shields of Twilight? How'd you guys come up with that, and what does it mean specifically for your party?
So our I think we had in game someone had asked us what we were going by, and I think Baltaim said it's a work in progress.
Mhm.
And they were like, okay, work in progress. I think the DM, the jokingly was like, okay, work in progress. And I was like, that's a good name, guys. Like in a group chat, like, yeah, work in progress. And like, so Chad was like, what's that in Latin? He's I think it was like opus or oppressu dia or progressu dia opus or something like that. I was like, that's a good name, guys, right? And I was like, everyone else was like, no.
I like it.
Okay.
It would have been okay in Latin.
I like it.
Otherwise,
In our
no.
defense, though, we're several of us part of another group that's stuck with dragon punchers right now.
You're welcome. You are all welcome for that.
Well, the thing is, the one person that it was in the party when the name was created who literally punched anything that moved is no longer in the party anymore. So
Hey.
I don't know what fits. Nobody punches anything now.
We'll get a new one.
But I think part of it was also we had already met or run into the mention of Lux Eterna. And so we were like, okay, so that's the light. And we're somewhere in the middle right now.
Yeah.
At least for Perry.
And we have run into the Shattered Blades and the I don't think we have the Black Sun. Yeah, or the Black Sun, but Lex is a part of the Shattered Blades, or runs
the Shattered Blades.
Yeah. I think Cobalt kind of came in and said, I think Twilight Shield or something like that. And we were like, everyone's kind of like, it's all right. I mean, then when I got a better idea, and I think I was like, well, why don't we just switch around, like, instead of Twilight Shields, Shields of Twilight. And everyone's like, okay, that's better. It'll be like that. Made sense with the recent events and recent like groups and like factions we've been seeing.
I mean, we're somewhere between the bright light and the deep dark at this point. I mean, we have Dobby Ponds, for heaven's sake.
Yeah.
Yes.
We operate in
neutral,
this
probably.
We operate in a sort of shade of gray. So at least for Perry, that's part of what she sees it as, is we are sort of the last marker before it gets truly dark.
So your Twilight Knights, essentially.
That's so cool, guys. That's a really cool name. I like that.
Yeah, now we have to change our names again.
we
go from Work in Progress to Shields of Twilight and now Twilight Knights.
Hey, he said it was a work in progress.
Yeah, that's true.
He warned you.
We just keep changing. Everyone doesn't know what our group name is. It's just like, what were those one guys? It's like, the Shield of Twilight. Like, oh yeah, those guys are cool. But like, have you heard like the Knights of Twilight? Those guys are even cooler. Like, they got like a warlock.
We'll start some sort of fandom war.
Yeah.
But they won't realize they're all the same fandom.
They were better when they were shields and not knights.
Oh my god. Oh yeah, it goes down on Fantasy Reddit.
Yeah.
Oh, Fantasy Reddit. The darkest of dark places.
Yes. That's your final dungeon.
Yeah, Fantasy
the deep
Reddit.
Web.
You have to slay the trolls.
One falls, 3 more comes up.
That's so meta. Okay. So last episode, you guys had some visions. That was super fun. First off, snaps for Serenity for doing all your voices really surprisingly very well.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, that was
really
right. She's so good.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna ask you all about them, essentially. So first, Chad.
Yes.
You got to see your sister.
Yes.
Can you tell me a bit about what Quinn was thinking as he was making this huge in the moment decision whether or not to follow her?
I mean, the second that Quinn laid eyes on her, because I interrupted the DM so many times when I thought she was done, he was all set to just get the hammer out and charge straight the fuck ahead and just go for it, just right after her, because that's what he's been after this entire time, is trying to find her and figure shit out. And then the only reason that he did not make that exact choice was because in the moment, as part of the vision, the DM was arguing both sides of that point in Quinn's voice. And like, that is a good point, me. That is also a good point, me. Okay, I'm going to go against type here and do the other thing.
Yeah, it was really one of those situations where it's like the little angel and the little devil on the shoulder.
Yeah.
Did you guys know that's from Dr. Faustus?
No.
Huh.
I did not know that. That's so cool.
I found that out 6 months ago in my playwriting class.
Yeah. Today I learned.
We all learned something.
Yes.
We're
educational, everybody.
This is an educational show.
It is now. We can call it that.
Sure. Do we get something for that?
No.
Ooh, maybe get funding.
Ooh, fun.
Right. Sponsorships from, I don't know, Scholastic.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
We'll host some book fairs. It'll be great.
There you go. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Laura, you got to visit your home and you saw it in pretty dire straits. Why don't you tell us a bit what it was like for Peregrine to make her decision?
At first, like the minute that she saw her mother and thought, I could go into that healer's hut and I could go and I could help, I almost had Perry go straight in. But she sort of came to this realization, and I can't say without spoilers, the specific thing that other Perry said that really and truly stopped her. But she came to this realization that if I go forward and I follow, I can never go back. I can never leave again, and I'm never going to solve this. And for Perry, it's always been a lot of self-doubt, for reasons that will clearly be explored later. She has some struggles with who she is and her own strength and whether she made the right decision to leave in the first place. And so it was really that moment where she had to decide, do I go home and give up, or do I have the strength to keep going and maybe solve this problem?
And she decided to move on, obviously, and go on into the world instead of staying, which is probably the more comfortable choice, but you guys are brave little toasters going out into the unknown.
Oh my God, that's so Peregrine. Actually, you just blow my mind. Actually.
She is the brave little toaster.
She's the brave little toaster.
Yeah.
But yeah, it would have been so easy for her to go home and try to continue to do medicine that's clearly not working and she knows isn't working, and just settle for safety. But she realized that she would regret it for the rest of her life. And given the fact that she is a half-elf druid, that'd be a long time.
Not a short time. A few centuries of regret.
Yeah.
So one more thing for you, Laura. Can you share why your mom has a different accent than you in character?
I don't
justify that. Make something up. Justify it for us.
I assume Perry probably sounds a lot more like her father, which is funny because she's a lot more like her mother. Her mother is a huntress. Her mother taught her everything. And her mother is one of the village guard, and her father is more the homebody. And I guess she just sort of sounds more like her father. It could also be that that very strong country accent is not fun to keep doing for long periods of time.
Could be that the DM is Canadian and the player is from the American South.
Yeah, I am cheating a little
accents.
bit. I just thickened my own accent and add a lot more twang for her.
That's valid.
I mean, I do a harder accent in other ones. You know that.
Yeah. Okay. Caleel, be honest. Did you zone out a little bit during your vision?
I did not. I know the first thing I said was, "Oh, fuck me." I got my vision. But I was paying attention. I just was like, I said that because I was like, "Oh, this I know exactly what's gonna this is going on. Fuck me." Like this brilliant but evil woman has perfectly gotten into my mind. I'm like, fuck. I'm trying to think in my mindset. Then I'm trying to stall. Basically, I was trying to ask her what happened. What did you say? Just to get my brain to slow down because I was already going miles per minute, and I was trying to slow down to make sure I would think what Baltaim would do and not what I would do necessarily. Because I think the decision he made was very split. Actually, I think I was trying to recall the words. If I didn't hear those words correctly, I think he would have made a different decision. But the words that were said to him kind of structured where he was going with that. I feel like he is an individual that craves discipline. He craves a place to something to guide him. And I think without left to his own devices, he'd be a little bit more impulsive, like Quinn, which I think is why Quinn and Baltaim at least get along well enough. Everyone's not friends right now because we just only met each other. But I think the building of us talking and you be able to chat together I think that's why, and also our similarities with family and everything has given a reason why he is closer relation to Quinn, and probably why he doesn't immediately hate Dobby.
A little bit of a kindred spirit there.
Yeah.
Secretly. Secret kindred spirit.
Just don't tell Dobby.
Can you take us like deep into Baltaim's mind as he's making this hard decision?
As he's making this decision, he wants to do what his inner self is trying to tell him to do. But he hears the words that he heard from the angel, I guess, or whatever you want to call it, the devil, if you're talking about devil and angels on each shoulder. The angel on his shoulder made a very I don't know how to say this. They made a very good statement that would, as a person who wants structure and wants like this discipline, like wants to be guided, it was a very easy decision to do where he's like, you're right, that's true, I'm going to do this because that's what was agreed upon. And if that was not said, or the way that was said was differently worded, I think he would have gone with what his inner desire wanted, because that's what he wants.
So it really was on a knife edge with that decision.
Yeah. And I was trying to like not, because like I was like, yeah, do that, fucking like go. Like, I'm like, no. And so yeah, I was trying to make sure I had thought fully about what he would do.
Yeah, those decisions were so cool. I think we got, as viewers, we got a lot of insight into your characters. Like, obviously, it tied in some backstory, but also just because obviously all those hard choices were specifically designed to like be tough for your character in specific. And snaps again to Serenity for designing those so well.
Yeah,
and literally getting inside of our heads, because none of us knew anything about any of that was coming up. She just literally got in our characters' heads to the point where she knew exactly the buttons to push. Yeah, which is impressive and scary, and I fear for my life.
Brilliant but evil.
Yes, exactly that. Thank you.
Like all the best Dans.
I mean, we're all familiar with Chris Perkins and how he traumatizes people for fun.
It's out of love.
It is.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, it really is, because it just shows like how much she's like thought in that mind space to be able to get that reaction or that like that conflict where I haven't seen everyone's decisions or what they've done, other their visions, but I assume from what it sounds like, there was a conflict between everyone trying to decide for sure if that's what you want to do. And I think that's a good place to be in when you're like, because like even now I know like Baltaim he's not necessarily happy about the decision. He wants to do the thing he wants to do, but he understands why he made the decision. So I think that kind of conflict is a good like show of like our DM's just ability to get into our heads.
Yeah. I think Perry might be the only one of the group that's like truly happy with her decision. Like, no doubts, knows she made the right choice.
Perry
else
seems
is just a little bit torn.
Perry, I think, made the decision. I think actually Quinn made his decisions the quickest, even though I know he has some internal conflict. Perry was second quickest, but she seemed the most decisive, I thought, of watching. So after your visions, you guys had a bit of a battle royale.
Yeah. Oops.
That was fun.
Yes, it was.
So my question is, if you guys were going to do that for real, just full out battle royale, you all know that you're fighting each other. It's everyone on everyone. Who do you think would come out on top? Like WWE style match.
Obviously Baltaim,
I mean, if it's a steel cage, then I don't know, man. I mean, Quinn would be in it for a good bit, because the ability to heal himself and also have a big old hammer that just comes around and smacks people as well as him. But
I think Perry or Sinric would probably be the best. I think Perry.
I honestly think it would come down to Perry versus Sinric, and it would be a fight with a bear. Literally, because Sinric would get this dream that he's had since the beginning of meeting Perry and seeing her in bear form for the first time ever.
Yeah.
Can you turn into a bear? I want to fight you as a bear. I think that's where it would end. It would end with Sin versus Perry.
Yeah, because the wild shape, 2 free big old sacks of hit points. That's hard. That's hard to
And
beat.
she's got good saves. So like unlike
Mhm.
Cynric, he doesn't have the saves necessarily to stop being magic cast on her. Perry can actually get through some magic, especially with wisdom being like such a common save.
I got really, really lucky with my wisdom stat, and then I took
I'd
that
probably
Perry
pick
sounds
Perry.
so close.
Yeah.
They can hold concentration pretty well too. So
yeah.
Perry would probably be my pick. If I was betting, I'd pick Perry. But unofficially, I think Baltaim because of course.
Yeah, let's all bet on Barry.
You got to be your own
Barry.
hype man. Understand?
Yeah.
Awesome. I think Lex would show up and just shoot all of you.
Yeah,
and be like, you guys are being stupid. Stop that.
And then
Stop
fighting.
She would start with Dobby, obviously.
Well, obviously, yeah. I mean, that's the obvious choice.
And
I think we can all agree if we did actually engage in a battle royale, we would all kill Dobby first just to get it over with.
I don't know. Perry's kind of come around a little bit on Dobby. Just a little. Especially there at the end when he seemed to figure it out.
Yeah.
Seems like Cynric and Dobby might team up for the first part of the battle.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Just because they work together.
Until Cynric decides just to step on him.
Yeah.
As soon as they take out everyone else.
Stick close to Barry. Just stick close to Barry. Let her,
maul her
get
way
through everything,
the crowd.
and then once she's tired out, just backstab her. That's probably my plan of attack.
I see how it is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a good.
We'll see how many clutch ass thorn whips save you from falling off mountains from now on.
This is
hypothetical.
Baltaim loves
Perry doesn't have any ill will toward anybody yet.
Yes.
Well, I mean, she's had her fair share of screaming matches with Dobby.
But who hasn't? I mean, that's just Dobby.
I think the only person who hasn't gotten pissed at Dobby at this point is Baltaim because he seems to be just unflappable thus far.
He respects how candor Dobby is. He doesn't think of himself as a good or bad person. Personally, Baltaim himself is a good or bad person, and so he doesn't see Dobby's views as necessarily good or evil. So he's like, "Oh, that's what he's gonna do." I mean, especially what God he follows. So people are people.
Cool attitude to have. So that brings us to our topic for tonight, which is designing a character backstory, something we've all done a bunch. So I want everyone to
please.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Start without me. I have to move a dog.
What's that puppy's backstory?
Percival has a blood feud with our neighbor's dog for no reason whatsoever.
Our nemesis.
Yeah.
What kind of dog do you have? I think I've never actually seen him.
Percy is a pug.
That's such a funny dog to have a blood feud.
Oh no, he's just really, really high strung, and the neighbor's dog barks now. He's not a fan.
Did the neighbor's dog not used to bark?
Oh, we have new neighbors across the way.
Oh, okay, I see. So while we're waiting for Chad, what's up with everybody? Oh, he's back. We don't have to talk. No small talk. Small talk canceled. Okay. So everybody, now that you're all here, I want you to think back to the annals of history when centuries back when we were all baby D&D players and you had to come up with your very first character backstory. How the heck do you start?
I mean, I start in like weird places. Depends on what I'm thinking of at the time. Like I'm playing a character in another game right now where I based his backstory on a Johnny Cash song, God's Gonna Cut You Down, where he's basically just on a revenge trip against a specific list of people that I used with descriptions based on the lines in the song, like Long Tongue Liar, Midnight Rider, Rambler, Gambler, Backbiter. Like he wants to kill those 5 people because they did something terrible to him. And that's the basis for the whole thing. I just then spiraled out in a whole different direction from there. But like, that was the kernel of the whole thing I did.
That's cool shit.
Yeah, it's usually just a concept I'm currently fascinated by.
Yeah.
Like in the same game as Chad's character there, I have a delightful little pink tiefling who is a grave cleric, and I had recently reread the Sabriel stories, the Abhorsen stories. I became obsessed with this idea of trying to create that concept in D&D. And I went so far as initially I was going to do the whole thing with the bells and stuff. I was like, that's going to be a nightmare. So I developed this idea of an order of clerics that their whole job was to put back the undead, and just built from there.
Cool.
Yeah, I early on I just well, even still now I just rip from whatever like current media I'm like enjoying, or like, you know, oh, okay, that's cool. Like I think I've made like a character similar to like Dante, because I was playing Devil May Cry.
Nice.
Like one time.
I mean, I made a direct rip on John Constantine once, so I can't talk.
Yeah. But you know, developing, I like to make my characters more based on like ideals, I guess. Like the ideals of things of like honor, love, respect. It's kind of more of the light of what Baltimore has been created out of. And I took some inspirations from media because you just kind of can't, you know, be influenced from media. Like it's just kind of everywhere around you. But I think most recently I've taken concepts from just like, you know, ideals for my characters.
Yeah, all art is theft. It's fine. So for a new player, would you just suggest that they, I don't know, would you suggest they take influence from media? Would you suggest they mind their own backstories? Just where should they start? What's their kernel if they can't think of one?
I mean, it depends on kind of basically just comfort level, because whatever you're building, you have to be able to dig into that and actually care about whatever it is you're digging into, you know? So if you build a backstory that is this huge sweeping epic and you have no investment in it all, it doesn't matter how cool it is. You may have made something awesome, but you don't give a crap, then it just sort of sits there.
I think for new players, for sure, I definitely think rip off media, like rip off whatever media you love, whatever thing you like, because if you understand that character already, you understand what you would do, or what that character would do. So it's easier to get involved into that mindset of like, oh, if you like make Dante, you know what Dante's going to do. So it's some wise ass thing, do something impulsive. You know, you already got that kind of like character mindset, and then kind of build off of that for something else if you want to, you know, develop later on.
Yeah, I would definitely say rip off your favorite media. Like if there's a character you're in love with, start there and then build. Because I mean, just because you start off, oh, I'm building Shira. Well, maybe like halfway through, you start to develop that more of your own style. Eventually, you're going to get to a point where you're doing your version, and it'll take over, and you won't have to be devoted to that character anymore and being true to whatever the canon is for whatever that is. And it can be really daunting to sit down and be like, okay, well, I have this blank character sheet and all these numbers and all these stats.
Yeah.
And also I have to come up with a backstory, and I have to decide what race they're in. And oh my God, how does class work? Pick something simple. You know, make John Constantine if that's who you enjoy watching. You know, tell a story make fan fiction. It's fine. Nobody's going to know.
Yeah.
Give it a different name and you're fine.
Yeah. I mean, because the first D&D character I played in a long, long time, like, because I played a little bit here and there and just never get a game to stick, but the first campaign I actually was able to start that went somewhere for a little while. That character was literally just a ripoff of John Constantine, because I figured, all right, he's magic, he's a bastard, I can be in that headspace. And then I ran
magic
with
bastard.
It. Yeah.
Was he a slutty monster fucker?
Didn't get a chance to. I mean, he was
Was it really John Constantine then?
It's blame the DM of that game. Blame the DM of that game, because he did not give him the chance.
Yeah,
tragic.
Had that gone longer, he would definitely have been a slutty monster fucker. I just know it.
Oh hell yeah!
Fantastic. Yeah, so as we all know, characters can get a bit personal sometimes, even when we're trying not to play into our own type. Do you guys ever on purpose mind your own backstories or backstory?
I have not yet, but at some point I might, because I have a hell of a thing I could use from
Hmm.
my own past that would be interesting to try and translate into D&D and amp up to be more than just childhood trauma.
Yeah.
I try to keep concepts, some concepts in there, so it's not super personal. So I don't, so I won't take it, no, I won't take it personally if someone changes something or makes says something to me in that way. So it's like, oh, you're like attacking me. I can, I disassociate that, but I kind of keep. I try to put in a little, like just a concept or two, or like characters and their backstory to kind of remind me of something or someone in my previous backstory, my personal backstory, to kind of get me into that mindset of
Headspace? Yeah.
that headspace.
There's, I think, a little bit of me in all of my characters, just a little bit. I have a character who has some pretty extreme issues with her own father and trusting him, and she doesn't know who she is in general. Um, and she's probably one of my favorite characters, even though it's a game I'm with Serenity, and she has broken this poor little half-drow to death. But I try not to. I get really attached to my characters, but I try not to make them too much like me, for the same reason Caleel was talking. Like I don't want to be offended.
Mhm.
I don't want to catch myself being upset because someone was mean. Um, um,
As people often are
as
in
Yeah.
fantasy
yeah.
world, real
I
life.
mean, if I were too attached to, like, if I put too much of myself, I mean, I get real upset real quick. People have been, oh, as always, someone's always going to be shitty to you in fantasy with town. Somebody's going to be mean. Somebody's going to be racist towards your drow or suspicious of your tiefling. And I
Mhm.
don't want to. I don't want to get my feelings hurt just because someone was mean to my fictional baby.
Yeah. And the nice thing about D&D is when somebody's mean to your PC, you can kill them.
That's true.
That's true. That's
If
true.
somebody
Shoot
else's PC
them.
is mean, you can just punch their PC in the face with
Yeah.
your PC. It's fine.
You have a nice little file, be character building.
And it was.
PvP. Yeah, we're going to
Um,
talk about PvP in one of the episodes. I'm very excited.
Nice.
Okay, so we've covered like mining media, mining our own backstories, mining real life. So, do you ever do just random shit with characters? And if so, what's the most random ass character you've created?
Hmm.
Uh, okay, I will say this. I've played a warlock where their patron was fucking Google. So
Good
So
start.
we gotta
yeah.
dig in here. I
It
mean,
Yeah,
did like
please.
the game didn't last too long, but my DM would literally roll things for like my patron to tell me to do, and like I could choose to decide to do it or not. But some of them were interesting. Some of them were quite interesting. I think I accidentally attacked someone before. So it was something. I wouldn't have made that choice personally, but it was interesting for the little short bit I played it.
I also had, I think warlocks are just very good for doing wacky shit with.
yeah.
In a game that I played with Serenity, yeah, that was with Serenity. That was also tragically cut short. I played an awakened cat warlock named Oatmeal. It was a literal cat, a talking cat, who was a warlock, and that's my favorite character that I've ever made. We only did like 3 sessions. It was fantastic.
Wow.
It
I
was
mean, I got nothing to
blissful.
compete with that at all.
Yeah, I'm trying to think
No.
if there's anything else that. Yeah, like that's the most randomest thing I've had
It was so
happen.
great, you guys.
I mean, I DM'd a game once where someone did something kind of similar. They made a Tabaxi whose name was Pancakes in the Morning,
Oh,
and they were just
cute.
Tabaxi Rogue.
That's so
Oh,
cute.
Pancake.
Yeah, cute name, but she played him just like, okay, so I killed that guy, right? Just
That makes
she
it
played
better.
him like she was playing through, because she's never played D&D before, and she was basically playing him like she was playing a game of Assassin's Creed. Like, okay, so I killed that. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do now. I go behind it and then I shank.
I press Y.
Yeah.
I press Y and
Stab.
then I sneak into the crowd, right? That's what I'm doing. Like, sure, Pancakes, go for it.
I mean, I don't have anything like crazy and wacky. I think the funniest thing I've ever done is, and I play a version of her now in Strahd, but I developed this idea that I was going to make an Aasimar monster slayer who was going to be a combination of Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Sookie Stackhouse. So she had the accent and the ridiculous, like, we went so far as to give her prestidigitation for free. So like anytime she got blood or something on her, you'd blink and she'd be clean for no reason. So she was like always clean and shiny and bright, and you know that ridiculous Sookie Stackhouse. Everybody is fascinated by her, but also she was like a crazy vampire hunter. Like that's all she did was slay vampires. So I made Buffy Stackhouse or Sookie the Vampire Slayer.
Very good. Did she have the 2 boyfriends?
I don't think we got that far.
We did not.
We did not
Tragic.
get that far.
There's a tragic
Which
lack
is really,
of
really to
romance
predict.
in this group.
We did decide that it was funny that she was a literal angel. But we didn't get her 2 vampire boyfriends. I was really sad about it.
Oh wow, missed opportunities. Maybe in the future, we're playing another Strahd game.
This is
It's
true.
That's true, and I control it all.
Get that vampire booty.
Yeah, but the Strahd vampires aren't sexy at all, except for Strahd.
You
You
have
know
not
what?
met them yet. You do not know that is vampire exclusivity.
Yeah, we don't
I'm
know
sorry.
yet. We cannot prejudge the sexiness of these vampires.
Mm-hmm.
We have to wait and see.
Exactly.
Us beauties from within. You know.
Yeah,
Okay.
but Tara hates Barovia already. I don't think she's gonna
Oh,
bang
it sucks.
vampires in Barovia. Barovia sucks.
It does suck.
Yeah.
Okay. So question for people who have DM'd, which I know is definitely Chad. Caleel, have you DM'd before?
I do DM, yeah.
Okay, so as DMs, what's your favorite way to include character backstory in like the plots?
I like just finding one thing that I can just dial in on. Like I read over a character's backstory and just something will jump out at me and I just that thing right there. And then I basically just start, and it's usually something where someone says, I don't really know much about that part. So, and I ask permission first if I can go nuts on it. And then I go nuts on it. And I just start building out like, okay, well, what if this and this and this, and then I can do this with it and I do this and okay, got it. And then I just find a way to build the whole thing into whatever else I'm doing.
I have a similar process. I look at whatever they give me, and if there's like I'll kind of read over it, and there's something like holes, and it's like what happened here. I'll ask the person first, like what happened here, and they're like I kind of know, like one of my players, like he's from Australia. It's like I don't know, mate. Just do whatever you need to do. I'm like okay, perfect. As I smile evilly, and like I like that. And so I just kind of like if there's any holes in something, or like something that's there, like I try to ask them to like write in what their character's perspective is, and then kind of try to subvert their expectations of this could have happened in your point of view, but you don't always know the full
really
story.
Happened.
Yeah, full story of what involves around it.
Another perspective.
Yeah, I try to keep it so it's like yes, that could have happened. In that light, from a certain perspective, that could have happened, but also this could have happened in a certain perspective too, and try to keep themes similar and try to input their themes of like this is like if someone's have a theme of like their family is missing or they have a theme of like family, try to input that into the story.
Yeah, personally, I get very attached to my players' NPCs when I DM, sometimes to the detriment of the plot. Because I will just rewrite stuff if I don't want a character to die. But like I will go, I think, the extra mile where I'll really incorporate character backstory into the plot. Like I will find spaces and I will actually rewrite things if you write me good lore about your character pretty much, I will write that into the plot. And I remember when I was running the game with Serenity, I play all of my games with Serenity. Um,
She's a
it was
D&D infection vector.
yeah, it
That's
was
true.
very satisfying to just find like interesting, unexpected ways to incorporate the characters' backstories into major plot points, which did come up. It was really cool. Okay, so oh my god, move on a little bit quicker. Running out of time. Okay, so tragic backstories, are they cliche? Does it matter if they are?
I don't think they're
Yes,
cliche,
but
really,
I
no.
don't think they're cliche.
Yeah.
Yes, but no.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
are.
yeah.
They are. I personally try to avoid like the orphan murder hobo.
Yeah.
I'm insulted. I play an orphan. Not Perry.
But not a murder hobo.
No, Triss is not a murder hobo. But she is an orphan.
I try to keep some element of like personal happiness. So like that that character has something like like it's kind of hard to get a character to care about other people when like I don't have a fucking mom or dad, like I don't have no one fucking to talk to later. Like I mean, fuck all you people. Like I wouldn't like, I like you can get to that point where you're like, oh, you guys are my family, but I like to try to keep it so that their backstory is not their personal life is not like a tragedy, like the tragic thing happens in their backstory that may involve their personal life, but try to keep like that element of I am fighting, like I have a family, or like I would like to go see my mom and dad one day, or I would like to see my husband or wife if I'm playing a girl or female, or girl male character. So I just try to avoid the tragic, oh, they're orphan, or oh, they don't
They have nobody.
they have nobody. Yeah, I try to get some of those bonds into there.
Yeah, if you go overboard on the tragedy, then it just feels like you're trying to essentially make Darkest Timeline Batman, and then it just you're playing one note and you're playing it real hard. But then again, if there's not some tragedy, then someone who has a successful bookshop in a small town is not going to go adventuring just because they got a wild hair one day. They're like, but my bookshop, it's very successful. Why would I leave it? It's doing so well. But if the bookshop burns the hell down and they want to find who's responsible, then they'll go do something. Or, like there has to be at least really one thing, like the inciting incident that will make them want to do something, and that will throw everything off kilter and change the status quo of their life from what was to what would be. That's how you do it. Just that you don't use the heaviest of hands, but you have to have something.
Yeah
I try to err. I mean, they make fun of me about Triss and how edgy she is, but I mean,
edge lady.
I try not to make the most tragic character ever. Happy people though don't necessarily go adventuring. Like Chad said, you don't leave your successful, happy life with 4 kids and the love of your life to go kill dragons. Fuck you. I'm going to stay home. But I there's always something there in the background. Triss is an orphan, but she really did for a long time love her adopted father. I like to do things like, oh no, they came from an extraordinarily happy family. Something else weird happened. That sort of thing, because it is a little cliche to have, oh yeah, the edgiest rogue ever. I know no one, I trust no one, I live alone.
Yeah.
I will steal your shit in the nighttime. That's boring.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
But
the crap guide to D&D video of Rogue, where the opening is just my backstory is just the most tragic thing. I come from the streets and I had to scrape to survive. That's not everybody's everything, but it's worth a watch just to see if that's how far it goes.
Nice. Okay, I think we have time for one more question. So, what's the one character or character concept with the amazing backstory and that you're just waiting to play? Do you have one in your pocket?
I have I think, really good one if Valtine ever does die for this campaign. I would have to, talk to Serenity about it,
Mhm.
because it is, there's been a no placed on some certain things.
Oh.
I don't want to do. I don't want to I don't want to try to touch the no-nos, but I just want to have something to do to do with the no-nos.
Okay.
So, and I have this really cool idea. I think cool idea for me. That would be, I think, interesting, especially where the themes of this campaign is going.
Mhm.
Other than that, I've always wanted to do something. I don't know if anyone's played the Elder Scrolls series, but the Green Pack, like, elves of like the south of Tamriel. That's always been a cool idea I've wanted to try to bring into like a backstory. Um, which they're like savage but like cultural like elves that you can't touch any of the trees in the forest. You can't like move any of the touch any of the flora or anything. If you do, you'll be like instantly hunted and killed, and like they're cannibals. They eat you, and like they use your bones as weapons, and like they import metal and like wood from other places because like the place is sacred. So I've always wanted to do something with that.
that's
Cool.
terrifying.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, it's really really fucking like crazy, and like that's
Very
also really
hardcore.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd be down for that. That's really interesting. I became fixated on this idea of a gunslinger with a pair of 6-shooters that were named Thoughts and Prayers, and one would do psychic and one would do
You stole that from
radiant.
Tumblr. That's great, but I know exactly where you stole that from.
Yeah, there was a pair of brass knuckles, and I was like, what if I made a gunslinger and built her around the idea of huntress? So I have this tiefling gunslinger named Mercy, who hopefully I'm getting it to play someday, who has the magic guns, and this crazy vigilante idea about justice.
I'm trying to think of mine, but I don't usually have much in my back pocket other than what I can come up with right off the top of my head. And since I'm in a bunch of games right now, I've used all my best stuff. But if I can ever roll the right stats for it, I would want to essentially play a combination of the Dread Pirate Roberts and Seahawk from She-Ra. And also throw a little Autolycus King of Thieves in there just for
Fantastic.
flavor. Just the most dashing son of a bitch you have
On
ever
boat.
met. On
I
a boat or on the
demand
land.
that you stab things and yell perforation.
Great.
I would totally do that.
And sing sea shanties. You have to sing all the shanties.
You
Do
need to sing them.
not challenge me. I will do that.
I love
Well,
sea
we know what
shanties.
character I'm gonna kill in this next week.
You do your buy me new art, son.
Hey.
R.I.P.
Perfect, probably.
I don't know though. We do need that cleric.
That's true. Never mind, you're safe.
Yeah, I come in handy.
Awesome. Okay. I think that's all the time we have for questions. Thank you guys for coming on my show. You've been a delight. Thank you to everybody who's watching. Hope you have a good night. I hope you stay safe and stay determined. This has been What's the Damage? We'll see you next week.